Hello, we're going live now. I'm Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with our Thursday evening live stream. Today is the 18th of August already, and usually about this time here is when our temperatures start to break. And I guess they broke a little bit. I was up in Grand Junction today, and it was only 98. And I was in Montrose today, and it was only 98. And right at the moment, it's 83 outside. We're at 7,000 feet here, so we're a little bit higher. So welcome to everyone, and so happy to see everyone. We're going back to my old internet connection. The one that, well, here, I'll show you. This is the speed test that I just did, and the download isn't anything to write home about, although it's not bad. But the upload, look at that, 21 megabits per second. That is double what I can get out of Skylink. So I don't know how I'm going to handle this, because for the live streams I need a good uplink. One thing I haven't tried yet is the phone. I have, this is Verizon, and I have a data link in here. And I may try using one of the laptops that's got a camera in it, and then connecting that to this, as this is the hotspot. Now, my desktop won't do that because there's no wireless connection in it. I guess I could go down and get one. It is cabled over to the router. So I've tried Starlink in two configurations. One just using the Starlink router and then connecting my local router to that. And the other is bypassing the Starlink router. You can tell the router to turn off and just, you know, do with it what you want. So let's see what we've got here. We got Optical Man Jeff from sunny Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where it's 82 degrees. And Marty P, K7CMI, Lewistown, Montana, where it's 82 degrees and sunshine. Terry 2 Echo 0, India Papa Kilo from England. Hi, Dave. Hope you're keeping well. I am. I was having some trouble with my teeth that has almost completely disappeared. So that's good. That's very good news. It was just some swelling from a tooth extraction that kind of distorted my jaw just a little bit, but it's gone back into shape. Also, the big burn on my knee. I finally went up to see the wound care specialists, and they said it looks really good. It's healing really well. So that's good. And the part of it that I still need to care for has gotten down to about the size of a dime, whereas it was quite big when it first started. So let's see. Pete Dayton's channel, please give us an update on your flying. I will. Today, I went up to Grand Junction and retook the written test. And the reason that I had to retake it is because the test results are only good for 2 years, and it expired at the end of July. This is my score here, another 90%. I missed 4 questions out of 40, and they tell you here what they call the what do they call it here? Learning statement codes. There you go, for governmentese. Representing correctly answered questions. Learning statement codes and their associated statements can be found at blah, blah, blah. I looked these up and have a real hard time correlating them with questions I saw on the exam. Now, I had purchased another edition of this manual. I had the 2020 edition of this. This is the FAA Knowledge Test Prep for the exam. And I used one in 2020. It was very helpful. I used it this year and found it was not nearly as helpful. It turns out that unlike the FCC, the FAA does not release its questions in advance. And so the people who prepare FAA knowledge test prep stuff are kind of guessing what the questions will be. And in one area I thought I had aced, I missed one, and it turns out there's like 25 or 30 possible questions in the book. Oh well. Anyway, I got a 90%. That's all I need. It's like the FCC test. 70% is a passing score. Next step is to go out to Carson City, Nevada for a week or so and wrap up the flying part of the thing. So that, because I've done my solo, I've done my cross-country solo, and now I have to go out and wrap it up and take the final practical exam. And there's an oral exam too. And it's probably good that I just went through this book, because that helps me prepare for the oral exam. So anyway, that's the update on the flying. I'll be going out there basically as soon as I can, but I don't know just when that will be. I will call them tomorrow and set that up. They said they wanted to hear from me again after I'd passed the written exam. I passed it, so they'll hear from me. To remind them, I'm the 70-year-old from Colorado, except I'm 71 now. Okay. All right, there's the update on the flying. Chris, Monday I'm going to fly with my instructor. We're going up to Grand Junction, which is a Class D airport, and we're going to practice air traffic control procedures. Okay. Chris, G7VEO, wishes everyone a good evening. Reed, AB8AS, says hello, Dave. And the group from Barbersville, West Virginia. Optical Man Jeff, KE0OG. He mentioned this actually before the live stream started, and I thought this was interesting. I have a good one for you. We had a lady from the Red Cross come to our club meeting. We thought she wanted to work with us for communications. She said she'd never heard of that. Well, there is an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, another nice little piece of bureaucraties. That basically means there is a written agreement between the Red Cross and the ARRL showing how all that help works. So there's a standardized format for it. And those ARES and RACES groups and things like that who are working with the Red Cross will be doing so under that particular MOA. Okay. Chuck Schreiber says, hello, N5KVO from South Texas. Checking in for the Thursday night. Cooler temperatures here, currently 81. And another month, when things really do cool down, we're going to be bemoaning the good old days when it was warm. I don't know what this winter will bring. I hope lots and lots and lots of snow so that we can do something about this water problem. Where we are right now in the Rockies, in the Western Rockies in Colorado, we've had quite a bit of rain. The monsoon rain has come through. In fact, we were nearly a week down in Ouray at the KE0OG camp at the beginning of the month, and it rained every day. It just rained and rained and rained. And one day we got more than an inch, and we came home to find that our road from the highway up to here, which is a gravel road, was just torn to shreds. And when they regraded it, they didn't do a very thorough job, and so it's a real bumpy road up here right now. And the Jeep that I'm driving, the Wrangler, 4 years old, new to me. I think I've only ever bought one new car in my life. Well, we bought the Subaru. A Subaru and a Prius. All the other cars I've ever bought have been used. So, anyway, not the ruts, the cardboarding, washboarding in the road just really hits the suspension at just the wrong frequency, and so I have to come up the road pretty slow, otherwise I'll get shaken to death. So let's see. Richard Quinn, KB3 ZVH, says he just tested positive for COVID. Feel like crap the second time this year. I am taking Paxlovid. I hope the Paxlovid works for you. Be sure to take it exactly the way you're supposed to, otherwise you can get a rebound. I have not officially had COVID yet. I've been sick, but when I test at home, it's negative. Now, I have heard that the tests and so on at home are not terribly accurate, so I don't know. I'm very sorry to hear that you have COVID. A fellow club member at the Montrose Club, his wife is suffering from long COVID, and she's better now. But for months, she was on oxygen. This guy said that he could find her all the time just by following the green cord. But she's getting better now, and that's just horrible. So, Richard, I'm sorry you feel so bad. This is second time this year. Wow. Man, you know, they've come up with a new virus that's supposed to be good for the Omicron variant. It's sort of like the flu. It mutates, but it seems to be mutating faster than once a year. I mean, the flu, we get a new one every year. So, Dave Samsell says, hello, Dave and fellow Augies, checking in from the Poconos of Pennsylvania. Alpha Charlie 3 Hotel Tango. David Mayer, good evening all from KB2G in Silver Spring, Maryland. I've actually been to Silver Spring, Maryland. I think I stayed at a hotel there one time. Clyde Morris, where'd it go here? I lost him. Coyle Morris says, good evening, Dave. Nice to see your show. W8CJM from Scott Depot, West Virginia. Don Zed says, hi, Dave, and all 64 degrees in a dark, stormy Twin Cities. Well, this is the time of year for thunderstorms. Terry in England says, wow, Dave, you've had some hits on that shortwave radio. Mind you, I can understand why. This is the radio. And so far, the cards and letters that I have received just about outweigh the radio. I mean, wow. I've never seen so many. But I do open every one in case somebody has, you know, an interesting story or something like that. If you want to, in your entry, in your envelope, put, you know, whatever you put in there that satisfies the entry requirements, and on a separate sheet of paper, write down a little anecdote or something like that that I can share during the live stream, or a picture of your shack that I can show or something like that. Just helps us all get to know each other a little better. Chris K0BLU says hello. William Myers, KE0OG says hello, Dave, and all the Augies. Chris K0BLU, good to see and hear you. Yeah, so far we've, knock on wood, we've had good luck. I'm using my old internet, which I have not yet canceled, which seems to have, if I show here, I'll just briefly mention this again. I got, just prior to the live stream, I got an upload of 21 megabits per second, which is way more than needed for this, so hopefully we'll have a pretty good live stream here. Okay, have you checked out Xfinity for uplink speed? I have not. Is that sort of like Starlink? Is it one of those things with a bunch of LEO satellites? I thought Starlink kind of took care of that. I know there are, like Hughes has a system with geostationary satellites. Now the problem with that one is the latency time for packets. It's like 7/10 of a second, over 700 milliseconds, which makes any kind of interactive type stuff on the web almost impossible. I know because I've tried. I did it once 20 years ago. Okay, let's see. Gil Huggins, KS4YX in Seneca, South Carolina. 75 degrees there. That's nice and pleasant. Ed K6SDW. Just switched to T-Mobile 5G and the internet here screams. Well, like I said, I've got Verizon here, and I've got this unlimited data plan, which is not unlimited. If you go camping for a week and you watch a movie every night, you get about 4 days worth of this. But I haven't tried it for the uplink really, so I'll be maybe next week we'll try that for the uplink. Okay, let's see. Philip Canterbury, hello Dave from Northwest Florida. West, out in the Panhandle then. In November 4 PRC. I went up there once to the Air Force Base, and I forget the name of the Air Force Base out there, way on the west end. There's a pause radar there that I toured. Now, mind you, this was in the 70s. So we're talking 25 plus 25. We're talking 50 years ago that I went and looked at that radar. It was really cool. It was a phased array radar, and they could steer the beam, and they could do it instantly. They could look here and then look here and then look here and then look here. So it wasn't just a sweep kind of thing. Brian Morgan, W9CRJ from outside Memphis. D. Heller 777, Dennis Heller, KE0OG, Kansas City, Missouri. Bill Malman, another fine day in paradise. Let's see, Gray, Tennessee, AB4P, Life and Death. Dave, for $15, you can plug a complete Wi-Fi card and antenna into a USB socket on your desktop, and I may do exactly that. Office Depot, I know, has them. You can either put it in as a card or plug it in to one of the ports. So I'll go take a look at those and see what the options are, and maybe give that a try. And then I can take just this computer and put it on this, and maybe get some good uplink. So far, I think everything is working fine using the old internet. The old internet, the package I pay for is 10 down, 3 up. But I have an agreement with the guy who runs the place. He uses my roof as a relay. And so I pay him because I say, you know, I should pay you. You're doing a very valuable service for the community, and I appreciate it. However, when it comes to actually implementing those speed limits, just kind of forget to do that. So I have much higher uplink rates than that. Okay, let's see. William Myers, KAHEIM 70 in Bruce, Wisconsin. And thunderstorms coming. All radio equipment disconnected and unplugged. Good idea. Super John J1. Hi, Dave. Windber, Pennsylvania, KC3UAL. Len Martin in Far West Missouri area, N0QFT. John Ward, good evening from Laurel, Maryland, W3OJ. Ryan Haynes, hi from South Carolina, KO4WSW. Nobody has put anything into the chat revenue yet. If you feel the inclination to do that, please feel free. That was Ryan. Robert Watson, WA7SON here. Good evening, Augies, from Kingsport, Tennessee. Lon Allen. Hi, Dave, from WZ9X. Claudio Bio. I'm going to go Bio because it's Claudio. Finally, my vertical bottom-loaded balcony antenna, 10 to 40 meter rigid fiberglass is done. Works really well. Tested on FT8. How much can improve installing it horizontally? If it's a mag loop, small HF loop, I know, but everybody calls it a mag loop. If the mag loop is mounted vertically, you should have it edge on to the building, because you'll get most of your signal out there, or you can try it flat, you get your signal that way, or you can lay it over horizontally, in which case it's kind of omnidirectional. So it's a little known fact about loop antennas, the small HF loops, commonly called mag loops, is that you can lay them on their side and they become unidirectional. There's no propagation straight up. Okay, Robert Cox, good evening, Dave, and all from Central Florida. Still hot here. Good luck in the remaining flying exams. Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, my written exam, Airman Knowledge Test, had expired. They're good for 2 years. And it expired. So I went up today and retook it for $175, plus the driving to and from Grand Junction. 2 hours up, 2 hours back, an hour for lunch, an hour for the test. Took the whole day. But got it done, So thank you. Oh, I see some chat revenue coming in. We'll check out who it's from in just a minute. Let's see. Robert Cox from KD4LOK. Sandman Evil. Who is Sandman Evil? Says, hello, Sir Isaac Newton. Hello across 4 centuries. Hi from Brazil, from Papa Uniform 2, Oscar Yankee Tango. Robert Petrie, good evening to everyone from Helena, Alabama. From Bob, K4WTA. Chris, Golf 7, Victor Echo, Oscar. It's a drought in my part of the UK. Lots of wildfires. Yeah, around the world. I understand on the Rhine in Germany, the water is so low it's threatening the river cruises. And they can't run barges up and down the river with bulk commodities like coal. Because of the low water levels, and it seems to be affecting everybody everywhere. There was just a report tonight on how some parts of the East Coast in New England are now suffering severe drought. This is very unusual for that part of the country, which is usually pretty green. So crazy. And then they've been having flash floods here in Colorado, out in Nevada, and out in California. Some of the casinos actually had water come in on the casino floors. Because, Las Vegas is definitely not designed to handle a flood. When you get 2 inches of rain in an hour, there's no place for it to go. And that desert ground is so hard packed that water will not soak into it unless it's had a very, very light rain for a week or so, and then the water will start seeping into the ground. Otherwise, it just runs right off, and that's what's been happening out there. Let's see. KI8UM, good evening, Dave, from KI8UM, Patrick in Grand Haven, Michigan. Terry in the UK says, I meant the number of hits you've had on the shortwave radio video. Why don't we go look at that? Because I don't know. interesting little thing about that. Little content, and go down here to monthly giveaway. 2,208 views. It's not unusual. Got 7,000 views on 10 meters, 4,000 on how to protect your receiver from your transmitter. And today's video was in answer to somebody who didn't know quite how to explain ham radio to his wife. So I took a stab at it. It looks like it's got 38, 35 views already. That's pretty good. So let's go back to live streaming. So yeah, I think a lot of... Now, I did do a video on shortwave radio. The video is about how to listen to shortwave radio. And this was a very interesting way things happen. I got a query from a lady at church who wanted to get a shortwave radio and wanted to know how to use it. So, as you know, I don't have a QST handy here, but there's a company called Eton, E-T-O-N, that is advertising with very glossy, thick pages in there. 4 pages of full-page ads up front in QST about their shortwave radios. I said, well, why don't you get one of those? So she did. She says, now how do I use it? So I didn't tell her, read the manual, but what I said was, I'll make a video about how to use it. And I made this video with her in mind. It is my most viewed video. If we go back to the channel dashboard to content and click on views, it's had 626,998 views. It is by far, as you can see, my most popular video. It's like crazy. Wow. That's not even directly, well, I mean, it's indirectly ham radio related, but it's not specifically about ham radio. So, wow. Yeah, that video went viral. So, very good. Let's see. SBRC from Pennsylvania says hello. Kilo Charlie 7. Hello, what are some good YouTube channels to study for the FCC GROL? I don't have any specific recommendations. I would just simply go to YouTube and in the search bar put preparing for FCC GROL, which is General Radio Operator's License or something like that. N4VKF radio is there. Warren Baker says hello from Chattanooga. WA4BAK, Life and Death. Xfinity is Comcast. Oh, cable. We don't get cable out here. We're 20 miles south of Montrose and 10 miles north of Ridgeway. So we don't get cable here. Cellular we do get. I could do that with... there's 2 major providers here, AT&T and Verizon. I used to have AT&T, but switched to Verizon when AT&T just got so bad it wasn't worth using. So it's just in the local area. You know, cell phone reception in the mountains is really spotty. Ralph, KF5NUK, good evening from wet North Texas. First rain in 4 months. Do you have suggestions on designing QSL cards? How to come up with an interesting design? Well, I've designed my own QSL cards a number of times. The one I've got now, and I've got like 2 or 3 of them left, is, well, I've got 1 left. KE0OG, it's just a very standard card from the QSL man W4MPY, except I understand that he has passed away. So I'm going to have to design another. Now the back of this is just plain paper, but it's got a shiny coating on this side. And the ones that I get next will just have plain on both sides because these are really hard to type on. And my handwriting is so bad that I need to type everything. Eglin, yes, Eglin Air Force Base. It was. That's where I went to see the, I think it was the FPS 85 or 185 phased array radar. It pointed south. I have no idea if it's still there. Ralph, what I would suggest is look at the QSL cards that you've gotten and see if they give you any ideas. You know, you're from Texas, so you'd probably want to feature something special about Texas. And of course, you've got all the information that you need to put in. A lot of people will often put something about their station, but the problem is that station information changes fairly rapidly. I would also recommend not ordering more than about 200 at a time. I know that the price goes down, and I once stupidly ordered 1,000 QSL cards for WB6GBT, and they all went in the trash when I changed my call sign to KD6SH when I got my advanced. So, whatever. Let's see. Xfinity Cellular is a Verizon NBMO. I imagine the MO is marketing organization. I don't know what the NB would be. Okay. Spotsylvania, Virginia. Let's see, we did that. Eglin Air Force Base. 2 of our W6 SFM club members didn't survive COVID. Oh, I am very sorry to hear that. I know that our club members tend to be older. I know we're all trying to get more youth in, but club members do tend to be older, and with that comes susceptibility to COVID and shoot just about anything. I mean, I'm sitting here, picture of health, right? With kidney issues, diabetes, high blood pressure, bipolar, you name it. You know, the problem is that human bodies don't come with a warranty, and they're not really designed for restorative maintenance. I mean, they're great for preventive maintenance. And go get some exercise, eat properly, things like that. But to restore something that's broken, there's no back panel you can unscrew and get a spare part and order it on the internet and stick it back in. So, and the human body is designed to last about 30 years. Your peak as a human being is somewhere in your mid to late 20s. And then it's a long, slow downhill from there. And back in ancient times, you know, the Middle Ages or biblical times or so on, that was sufficient because by the time you were 30, you could have children and mostly raise them. And then those people would grow a little more and have children and mostly raise them before they died. So it met requirements for the preservation of the species for a 30-year-old lifespan. And there were enough people who survived beyond that to be the elders, the people who were in charge and so on. Some people lived very long times, but most people did not. Your average peasant would be dead by 30. So anyway, so we are way past our design life. Most all of us are way past our design life. And, you know, you look at it, when I was born, life expectancy was in the high 60s. And my grandfather lived to be in the high 60s. My paternal father. My father beat that by quite a bit. His life expectancy when he was a kid was supposed to be in the 60s, but he lived to 94. And our generation now is living a lot longer. And hopefully we are still contributing something worthwhile and not allowing ourselves to get pushed aside. Okay, Al Mulford says, hello, Dave, from Rockport, Texas, KG5 KRQ. Al Mulford, Kilo Charlie 7. I'm refreshing my resume and looking to work in ROIP. I want to combine the GROL and Cisco CCTRS. And a bunch of initials there. I know what Cisco is, but I'm not sure what ROIP. I imagine the IP is Internet Protocol, so Radio over Internet Protocol. And so that would be something that like helps people set up very wide-ranging radio networks and so on. Ramsin Purin says, good evening, Dave. I'm installing a very thin wire as counterpoise in the base part of the antenna of my dual band HT radio. How long should I cut each of the wires for each band? Well, 19 inches for 2 meters. And you can use the, well, let's just pull out my calculator. 468 over the frequency, so divided by the frequency in megahertz, let's say 440 megahertz, would give you about a 1.06 foot. So smidgen over a foot. No, that's half wave. 6 inches. 6 inches for the 441. So yeah, you could, and some people find that they really help. Okay, let's see. Hi, Dave. I just turned 81. Just a second, lost it there. Turned 81 years, but have been absent from ham radio since 65. Just got my general back and look forward to getting back on the air. Congratulations, Walter, and welcome back. Kilo Charlie 7, hello from Florida. And Kilo Charlie 7, as far as a good YouTube channel for the FCC GROL exam, do a search on YouTube for preparing for the FCC GROL. Chris Wallendorf, KD5ZLR, says hello from Comfort, Texas. Very dry here. Yeah, William Myers, KE0OG, adds $20 to the chat revenue. Says, thank you for the videos and chat. I've learned a lot from both. You have given great advice. Please keep it up. And I will. And I should mention at this point a slight pivot in the channel. And I say slight because it really is slight. But I've got so many boxes of things to review that have come floating in here, and kits and things like that, that I'm going to start working more on those, and less on the just Ask Dave kind of thing. We'll kind of mesh them together. What I do is I've got a sheet of paper in the typewriter, and as I'm reviewing something, I'm typing notes. This is for a Pro Power Pack Lithium Power Mars 100, and as I go through it, I make notes. And then what I do is pretend that each one of these notes is a 3x5 card. I cut these up, okay, and I put them out on the dining room table. And I start lining them up in the order I want to talk about them. And then I write a script. And I've already narrated one scripted video for this little kit right here. This is a replica kit, and I mean an exact replica kit of a 1950s era novice transmitter, crystal controlled transmitter. And yes, it works. It took me a while to do that wiring that you see down in there because I've got very big hands, and trying to get them down inside there was really a challenge. But I did it, and it works. Not well, mind you, but it does work. And the interesting thing about that, which is available as a kit, and that video will be coming out pretty soon. The interesting thing about it is that you're building this kit for nostalgia's sake, because the radio itself is just like the original from the 50s, a piece of junk. But it was cheap junk. It was $17. And, you know, I understand that's $170 today, but still, that radio, it does work. It works just as well as it did in the 50s. But back in the 50s, we were willing to accept things that didn't work so well. And things have gotten much better now. You know how when you do RST for CW, the T is always a 9? That's because all modern transmitters put out perfect tones. This thing would be about a 6 or a 7 on tone. So, interesting. It's a keyed oscillator. And it's not, I gotta tell you, it's cool to watch the tubes glow. So we'll get that in a video coming up real soon. Dave Morgan, hello, Dave from Sharps Chapel in Eastern Tennessee, KE0OG. Sam Miller, what's wrong with calling it a mag loop? The thing that's wrong with calling it a mag loop is that it isn't really a magnetic antenna. I mean, we don't call a dipole an electrical antenna. What we're exciting with our antenna is the electromagnetic field. And the conventional wisdom is that the mag loop excites the magnetic field, and then the electric field comes along for the ride. And there's a grain of truth in that. The small loops excite the magnetic field a bit more than they do the electric field. But you can't have just a, you can have a steady magnetic field without an electric field. But if the magnetic field changes, like as in RF, it will ipso facto create an electric field to go with it. Okay, so what you have there is a situation where your dipole, actually it's the electrons, each electron is creating a little bit of a wave, and the waves add together, and it's more easily understood. Well, I don't know about that. You've got a moving AC current, and that's going to create a magnetic field. And the moving magnetic field creates an electric field. And the moving electric field creates a magnetic field. And thus it propagates, bam, out at the speed of light. Speed of light in air, which is slightly less than the speed of light in vacuum. But they are called magnetic loops and have been called magnetic loops for decades. And I call them mag loops. Now, Zach Lau, who is at the League, and is one of the reviewers of my column, it's part of my contract. In fact, I asked for this to be in the contract, that all of my articles will be peer-reviewed. And he's my peer reviewer there. And he has this thing about small electric loops being called mag loops. And if you look in the handbook, there's no reference to magnetic loop, but there's a whole section on small HF loops. So if you look in the advertisements in QST, every one of them calls it a mag loop. So I'm going to keep calling them mag loops. All right. KG says, hello, Augies and Dave. Leo Gustafson. Gustafson. Okay. I know that we have all studied this, but it bears repeating. 10 meters is a sunrise to sunset band. Okay, so what he's telling us is that 10 meters is alive. I just did a video on 10 meters. Sean Newcomer has added $10 to the channel funds. Says, hi from N2EWC near Utica, New York. Appreciate you answering my question last week. Was a huge help. Love the streams. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. We do the live stream once a week, and then there are 4 or 5 videos during the week. Now, it may take a little while to catch up with all this stuff, because when I did the script for the little kit that I just showed you, it took me all day to do that script. And then I recorded it yesterday, and it has to be matched to the video and then the bad parts cut out. And then we're going to be taking 1 million pictures of that kit, and all the pictures need to be slotted in. So it's going to be a fair amount of work for my assistant. And Callum is now on his Mormon mission. Okay, so we said bye to Callum, and his younger brother Aiden is now my assistant. He's 2 years younger. 2 years makes a difference. So he's a sophomore in high school, and sophomore, junior. Anyway, he is working hard to get up to speed on everything we need to do. So I'm going to take this opportunity to try to go back to scripted videos rather than talking in circles about the same thing all the time like I've been doing. Now, the thing with scripted videos, it does take longer because I have to go through the script cycle. And, you know, I'm happy to do that. All my old videos used to be scripted, but then I didn't do one a day. You know, I started doing one a day at the beginning of the pandemic to give people who were stuck at home something to do other than listen to things about the pandemic. So anyway, Ryan Haynes put in $20 into chat revenue with a little icon that says victory. Thank you. KG says KK7CLY. Chris K0BLU added $5 to the chat revenue. Says good luck in your flying efforts. Up, up, and away. Man, I'm going to fly on Monday, and we're going to go try to crack that Grand Junction nut. I need to make 3 full stop landings and takeoffs under tower control in order for my instructor to sign me off to go into a Class D airport by myself. Now, we would need to repeat that to go into Class C. Colorado has 1 Class C airport. That's Colorado Springs. In Nevada, Reno is a Class C airport. And then the Big Daddy airports are Class B. That's like LAX, SFO, JFK, stuff like that. There used to be some Class B airports that would not accept sport pilots, period, but they all do now. But then I got to go do the same thing. If I'm going to be signed off to land in Denver, I have to go land in Denver, 3 full stop landings and 3 takeoffs under tower control. And you can imagine how happy they are that between the 747s and the 737s and the Airbuses and so on, there's this little dinky flying ant that wants to land there. Yeah, they'd be real thrilled about that. So I think I'm going to leave that for the indefinite future. Okay, Dave Samsell adds $10 to the chat revenue, and he's got an icon that shows somebody flying in the wind. And Kelly McCullen adds $5 to the chat revenue. Says, I check my CW signals on reverse beacon and get reports from 6 dB up to 39 dB. How much is enough to be heard? I know it's relative, but it stumps me. Okay, I will tell you. The thing that matters is not your signal strength. The thing that matters is your signal strength relative to the noise on the channel. In other words, the signal to noise ratio. And the standard in engineering minimum signal to noise ratio is 10 dB. Okay, so you need to be 10 times stronger than the noise. So if the noise is minus 90 dBm, your signal needs to be minus 80 dBm. And then you can be, and I'm thinking CW here, you're going to get picked out easily. Now, if you try to do that with sideband, you've got the same problem, except now you've got a 3 kilohertz bandwidth, all of which has to be 10 dB above the noise. So it takes quite a bit more power to get a signal out there that's easily readable. So this is why we say that CW will get through when voice won't. Now, that said, if you look at FT8, FT8 will tell you the signal to noise ratio. And if there's a minus in the sign, it will mean that the signal, oh no, wait, I'm trying to think. FT8, does it tell you the signal to noise ratio, or does it just tell you the signal level? It may be just the signal level. But FT8 is designed so that it can pick out of the noise a signal that is less than the noise volume. Now, I have a patent on an algorithm that was made for radar detections. And the way the patent works, or the way the algorithm works, it, it's been so many years I have to look at it, but it could pick out signals that were 10 dB below the noise. Okay. It was just a detection thing, whether it was there or not. Okay. And you could get spread spectrum signals down below the noise too. So, or chirp CW or something like that. And so there are exotic radio techniques. For example, the signal from Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, which I think are both now officially outside the solar system, their signals are incredibly faint. They use what's called convolutional encoding with n equals 7. They go through 7 convolutions. And then it's sent to Earth at actually a fairly low signal level, a few watts, with a big dish. And then we have there's 3 huge dishes. I think one in Spain, one in Australia, one in the US, out of Goldstone near Barstow in California. I've seen it. And then you go through something called Viterbi decoding. And there's a so-called trellis. Now, it used to be, back when the satellites were launched, they could do about 7 levels of the trellis. And you're actually doing a probabilistic decoding. As you go down through the trellis, you say 70% it's a dit, 30% it's not. And then you keep juggling these numbers until you come to a final decision that 99% it's a dit. But because computers have gotten so much better, you no longer are limited to 7 levels of decoding. You can have hundreds of levels of decoding, and that's how we can still maintain contact with Voyager. If the Voyagers had gone beyond the solar system shortly after they were launched, we would have lost them a long time ago. But the new decoding signals, every level gets you further down into the noise. And the idea is to use probabilistic methods, because noise is probabilistic methods to separate a coherent signal which is a signal with information on it, versus an incoherent signal, which is just noise. And it's fascinating what they do with these things. And FT8 makes major use of these techniques. They're used in the reason Joe Taylor put them together was because he's a radio astronomer. And the problem with radio astronomy is you're looking for a signal that's way buried in the noise. So you've got what you hope is a coherent signal, meaning the parts of the signal are related to each other. You know, they're all a dit, say. They're all a dit. You got that relationship. You're trying to separate that out from additive white Gaussian noise, which is completely random. And it can be done, and is done in your computer with FT8. So cool. Kelly McCullen adds $5 here. Okay, he says, how much is enough to be heard? Okay, I think I answered that question. With CW, you'll be heard easily at 10 dB signal to noise ratio, which on a channel like 10 meters can be very low power. 5 watts on 40 meters is enough to be heard over a very wide area, whereas you need about 100 watts of sideband to be heard over about an equal area. It's again because of the bandwidth. The noise energy, and it is energy, is spread uniformly across the spectrum from DC to daylight. Now, in HF, natural noise from like thunderstorms and things like that blot out that little additive white Gaussian noise. But when you get past 12 or 10 meters, up into 6 meters, 2 meters, definitely 440 and on up into the microwave bands, the only noise is additive white Gaussian noise, and it's thermal noise. And I'm going to be making a video about that. The Ask Dave column that will be coming out this coming month talks a little bit about noise. And there's a section in the handbook on it if you like to go through the formulas. They're not that. It's called Boltzmann noise or whatever. It's additive white Gaussian noise, and or white noise. Anyway, that's how you do it. So I hope that helps you. It is relative. The basic idea is if the 6 dB is probably in relation to a microwatt or something like that. But the question is, what is the noise level and how far are you above the noise level? So thank you all to those who added to the chat revenue. We've got one more coming. We're up to $100 for the evening. That's very nice. It helps pay for things like test scores and stuff. Can you believe $175 to take a test? 40 questions. Hams do it for what, 15? Anyway, KG says, I've been working odd hours to where my attempts at making contacts late at night were futile on 10 meters. Yes, try 15, try 20, try 40. But yeah, it's a daytime band. Or gray line. Okay. See, Stephen, good evening, Dave from Fort Worth, Texas, WW5V. Mark, hello from Southwest Florida. Just got my tech. Congratulations. Got my base station set up. No contacts yet. Oh, let me tell you how you get that first contact. You get a friend. Okay, the friend that got you into ham radio. And you set up a schedule. You have that first contact. Okay. That first contact's the hardest one to get. Once you get that, everything else is a subsequent contact, and you'll be fine. So he says, Dave has been instrumental in being able to navigate ham radio. Thank you, Dave. KG says, congratulations, Mark. Eric D says, good evening, Dave and everyone. JT6188, good evening from Arizona. It's 102 degrees and supposed to rain. That's right, it's your monsoon season too. You guys can get some biblical flash floods down there. Praying that it rains. Yes. Robert Varner, hello from KC2TEL. Mark, thanks, KG. Kilo Charlie 7, hi Dave. You've asked this question 3 times. Let's just go look at it. Okay, we'll go over to YouTube. We'll just go here to YouTube. Okay, and we'll do a search. Preparing for GROL exam. FCC GROL prep. Study for GROL FCC testing. Use this shortcut to pass your the ham exams. Okay, PhD. Here's GROL, FAA General Study Guide. Is the FCC GROL still relevant? Well, you're going after it for something else. Okay, so preparing for GROL exam. Right there. Okay, so let's go back to normal view. Hopefully that helped. Howdy from Oregon, 89 and smoky there, KK7CLY, must be fires nearby. Joseph D, good evening, Dave from Massachusetts, KC1LWT. I started just this week training over the air for NTS radiograms. Very, very good. You're joining the National Traffic System. Congratulations to you, and I hope you really enjoy it. Eric D, hello JT, it's about the same temp, and we've been having flash flood warnings all day. Okay. I'm sorry, it ran away from me here. Oh man, am I far behind? Okay. Flash warnings all day in Palm Springs. Yes. And that area, it's the same with the desert. That is fairly heavily sloping land. So I'm wondering what course the flash floods will take. Kilo Charlie 7, thank you. Michael Lowe, W9NAF. Hi, Dave from Southern Illinois. JT168, Eric D, same here. Flash flood warnings too. Tricia Biesinger, hello to my big brother. Hope all is well with you. Things are pretty good, Trish. I'm doing pretty well right now. I passed my written exam for sport pilot today. Yardley Bottles, N3YQV, Tim in Erie, Pennsylvania. Eric D, yeah, I have a brother in Buckeye and another in Pine Top. It's monsoon season. I bought my airplane in Glendale and started to learn to fly it at Buckeye at the airport there. Finally made first solid 10-meter contact yesterday after at last having a morning off. Good. Down to Gideo, evening Dave from a very pleasant Philly. WJ3U, winter storm return then. Robert Varner, I made some QSL cards that had Vargas pinup girls on them, but never used them because of possible copyright problems. Yeah, I know what you mean, but it was a fun idea anyway. Prior to all hoofera having to do with music copywriting, at first it was a question of interpreting copyright law, but with the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, copyright law was changed. And now copyrights are a really sticky thing. So, yeah. Okay, would you consider selling or raffling off an Augie shirt? Interesting idea. Maybe I should do that. Life and Death. Dave, we all come fully warranted. You just have to be sent postpaid back to the maker for free repairs. That's true. In the resurrection, we will be repaired. Eric D, I would like to see Dave raffle off his Yaesu FT101 transceiver. I don't know if I want to let go of that. I would let go of the Tentec Jupiter And I would let go of the Yaesu FTDX 3000. I'd let go of those two. Somebody wanted a price from me for the 10 Tech. I suppose I should research those. Hi from Turkey, from Hüseyin Halit Ince. Probably massacred that. I apologize. Neil Marsh, nobody likes to have their name mispronounced. Neil Marsh, good evening. Dave and all just got home from Southwest Washington. AB Dave, what other hobbies do I enjoy? Well, I guess I could say that making videos is a hobby. You know, I enjoy the creative process associated with YouTube. I have done a fair amount of genealogy, but I've done so much, and now my grandnieces and grandnephews are way ahead of me, so I'm kind of leaving it to them. And I've still got some stuff I haven't really sorted through, but I've been working on genealogy since I was in my 20s. I see there is a delay between our texts and your reception of them. Yes, there is. There is quite a delay, no problem. Chris G7VEO, how are the solar storm conditions with you? Well, for a day or two, it's going to be lousy. But then for a day or so, as the geomagnetic field heals itself, conditions will be spectacular. So kind of look for that. Don't let that go by. Bands were quieter today, but managed some QSOs on 20 into Greece, France, and Spain. That's from England. Scott Anderson, Dave, I'm interested in starting to learn CW. What type key should I use to begin with? I am among the school of thought that says you start with a straight key. This is an inexpensive straight key. It works fine. And you can use this, and it's set up so that it doesn't flop around on the table. This is from MFJ. It's an MFJ. Is that going to focus on that? No, it's not. It's not going to focus on that. Oh, well, okay. MFJ 566 mic. MFJ 566M. Or you can go to CW Morse, CWMORSE.US, and find a greater variety at the same price. Okay, and this one plugs right into my radio. I recommend the straight key because then you really have to understand the elements. And I recommend getting up to about 13 words a minute before graduating to an electronic keyer, which uses paddles, iambic paddles. That's my general recommendation. I'm not going to claim that that's best practice or anything, but it is certainly common practice. Okay, let's see. A ham with a pair of hams for hands. Yeah, I got big hands, I tell you. Tyler Houston managed to find an unused 857D. What would you recommend for HF small package footprint antenna for through hiking? Look at ham sticks. You can make a vertical that you can make a man-pack wearable ham stick and trail along behind you an equal length piece of wire that can be the counterpoise for that. And you'll find it works remarkably well. Ham sticks are quite compact, and you can use this. Now, there is a guy in Australia, Victor Echo 3. You know, I subscribe to him. Let me look on my channel, YouTube. He does a lot of... Oh, shoot, I got to stretch this out. Okay, well, I subscribe to a lot of people. At least I think I subscribed to him. Amateur radio. Okay, here we go. Let me move this in to where that will get picked up when I do the screen. Okay, there we go. VK3YE. This is a YouTube channel, and here you see this guy. It's an Australian. He's got a very didactic voice, but great information. But if you go in here, he does pedestrian mobile on HF all the time. Okay, and so if you look at some of his videos, he's got tons of videos, just tons of them here. Okay, you will find some great answers to how to do pedestrian mobile on HF. Okay, with that antenna. Let's see. Okay. Christopher Swanson, IC7100 and LG G8200 Pro 2 tuner, installing an antenna from the top of the roof, sloping 20 feet from post in the lawn, debating between building an end-fed half-wave or random wire. LDG8T200 Pro will tune a random wire, but I want to look at that here. Screen. I want to take that that type of antenna, LDG 200 Pro 2. Automatic antenna tuner. Okay, let's look at it at DX Engineering. Okay, this is not an outdoor tuner. If it were an outdoor tuner, you could put this right at the base of the tuner and then do a random wire. Personally, I like the end-fed half-wave. I tend to be partial to resonant antennas. Chris says he can run about 70 feet. That's actually rather short for a long wire, which should be 2 or 3 wavelengths long, but it'll work. It'll work, definitely. Optical Man Jeff adds $20 to chat revenue, saying, thanks, Dave, for everything that you do for ham radio. You are a treasure for all of us. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Eric D. is suggesting Scott Anderson use a simple straight key. I do too. Hef, K4HEF. Hef. Hiya, Dave. William Blanton, good evening, Dave, from K04DBP. From Hef, got my extra thanks to you a few months back. Congratulations. Took me 3 times to get my tech, 2 for general, and got my extra first try. Never quit. That's perseverance. That is perseverance. Thank you. JT6188, getting an old tube radio out for the local 10-meter net tonight. Got to turn the radio on so that by net time they're hot and not drifting. Ah, you've got a boat anchored there. 28.329 megahertz at 0200 GMT, which is coming up in a couple minutes. Okay, very good. Optical Man Jeff got a book from Amazon called Pass Your GROL Test the Easy Way by K4IA. There you go. Christopher Swanson, I think a 40-meter end-fed half-wave would need 66 feet. Yes. It wouldn't have 80 meters, though, no. I think a random length of 71 is likely good for 40 to 10, yes. Okay, Christopher Swanson, thank you. Would one be better than the other than if I can install either or? Personally, I'd go with the end-fed half-wave. You've got a pretty good shot at things working well. You may not even need that external tuner. Just use the tuner in your radio. But if you're going to go random length wire, you definitely need the external tuner. Don't use both tuners. If you're going to use an external one, Be sure to bypass the one in your radio by turning it off. Western Washington, boy, if it gets much over 79, I start to wilt, and I understand you're getting some heat up there. Jeff Harris, howdy Dave, and all from KB0OG. Jeff in Elkins, West Virginia. Got my 991A hooked up, but need to get my memory channel set up for 2 meter and 70 centimeter. Yeah, it takes a fair amount of work to do that. It's a very nice radio. A lot of people like it. Christopher Swanson, given if I had enough length for either or. Eric D., by chance, do you watch the old Tube Radio Network show every Saturday evening at 8? It's on YouTube. That sounds like fun. Taking Paxlovid is like sucking on a rusty nail popsicle for 5 days. Ouch. Yeah, we've got somebody here who caught COVID and is on Paxlovid. I do not. I get up at 2 in the morning for work, so I'm in bed by 8. I don't blame you. Ralph Leyland, hi everybody in K4TA in Fork Union, Virginia. These young teens get overwhelmed by the fumes, 2 of them, gas and perfume. True. Jeff Pemberton, hello Mr. Casler and all chat. Enjoyed all your videos a few years back when studying for my license. Many thanks. You are certainly welcome. Absolutely welcome. Okay, God, I lost my place here. Okay. My experience is the 102-foot outperforms the 71-foot slightly. Probably has better SWR, yeah. Okay, longer would be better. They leave the recorded shows unavailable to watch anytime, yes. Xfinity is Comcast's broadband offering. Yeah, we don't get cable here. We're too far out in the boonies. Thomas Bewick says 73 to everyone. We are getting, it's 8 o'clock already. Eglin, yes. Elgin? Elgin is a watch brand. Eglin is the Air Force Base. I hear all about our relative heat wave in the Pacific Northwest, yes. Watching from England, James McDonough. Neil Marsh. Yeah, Western Oregon. That can get a little warm there, too. That's desert. Palm Springs is definitely desert. Been there. And for bed, good evening. Greetings, JT. John Brace, K9BRS. Ballistic Recovery Systems. There's a company by that name. They make parachutes for aircraft. I did not get mine from them. I got mine from another company, but BRS is Ballistic Recovery Systems. Anyway, KB9BRS has added $10 to the chat revenue. Thank you very much. I see the bougainvilleas blowing in the wind and dark clouds rolling in. Come on, rain. Whereabouts Oregon? Albany, Oregon. Got some cousins down there. Good, far out. Okay, you are quite welcome. And Perico Falkland Islands on FT4 and 10 meters with an indoor hamstick from upstate New York. It can be done. I tell you, when 10 is open, it's open. And it's a very low noise band. I mean, this is a band where additive white Gaussian noise starts to dominate. And you don't get all the static junk that you get. Evening, love your content. Just started studying for tech general exams. Hope to take and pass in 3 weeks. Excited to start with radio. Good luck with your studies, Alex. I think we've seen you here before. Hang in there. Go to KE0OG.net/training to get the list of the tech videos. When operating a contest, are the power limits ERP or relative power? Neither. They are the power out of your transceiver, which for most modern transceivers is 100 watts. That's output power, absolute output power. Now, the effective radiated power can go up if you've got a directional antenna, and that's perfectly okay. Okay. Louis Sanchez, would a dipole benefit from a counterpoise or series of counterpoises? Not really, unless it's end-fed. If it's end-fed, sometimes you need to throw in a bit of a counterpoise to give it something to work against. Neil Marsh, my first QSL card effort is in your contest pile. Right here. Big pile. Got quite a few today. I'll take 10 tickets, yeah. Now, this is not a raffle, okay? It's just simply a drawing. The difference is a raffle involves money and need a license from the state. So this is a giveaway, free. It costs you nothing to enter except a postage stamp. And obviously I don't get any money from the postage stamp. It costs you nothing to enter, and you get something from me that, like I said, I'm constantly clearing out my shack, and I'm trying to pass on some items of fairly high value to you, because you guys provide me with channel funds. I got this as a freebie from SDR Play. Okay, so it's not costing me anything to give this away. It's a wonderful radio. I gave it a stellar review. Now, I was contacted by SDR Play. They saw that I was giving this away, and they wanted to check the serial number on this thing to make sure this was a current unit and not a pre-production unit. And in fact, they came back and confirmed it is a production unit. Okay, so very good. Getting old 8 for Wims. No, it's not. DD Radio adds $10 to the chat revenue. Says, hi, Dave. Keep up the good work. From WA2TAW. Thank you very much. Headed off to the shack. Get the old 101 tuned up non-frequency for the local 10-meter net. Well, that's going to be VK3YE, the barefoot ham. Yes, he is. He never seems to wear shoes. He has a great channel. I've watched a lot of his videos. Ronald Bogard, can I add a 6-meter wire on the Alpha Delta antenna? You can try. Why not try? Tesseract antenna. Okay. Don DeGidio, N7ECV, QRP Life. Most contests list the power as output power. If it is different, it will be listed in the rules for the contest. Truth. Jack Timber, colorful Colorado. It is right now. Wait till winter. In the colorful Colorado, it's 27 shades of brown. But right now it's green, especially as you get up toward your ray. It's just green. It's like the Emerald Isle up there. We've had so much monsoon moisture. Understanding that the coax shield can serve as a counterforce wire on a horizontal dipole. On an end-fed dipole, yes. On a regular center-fed or off-center-fed dipole, you don't need a counterpoise, and in fact, you do not want anything to be flowing down the outside. Now, a lot of people say you should use a 1-to-1 balun there. And I guess that is best practice. I have not had good luck doing that. I make my dipoles without a balun. But we've got some club members who are just absolutely freaked out about baluns. I go, okay, but you really don't need it. But then again, all my dipoles are grounded. Out here, the shield is grounded, so that outside stuff doesn't get into here. Okay, love my SDR using a quantum sequence mystical arrangement. Found a T-Mobile transceiver. Wow. Greetings, Dave. This is Kevin, KJ7EHQ from Gilbert, which is in the Phoenix area on the east side. Very nice area. Joseph D., why are the manuals for most ham radios vague in most of its aspects? Most times you have to YouTube things that aren't even in the manual. Well, it depends on the manual. Oh, I should point out I got a really cool sticker in one of the entries for this year. This is for the National Telecommunications and Informations Administration, which is an oversight body at the national level in the U.S. This is the complete manual for the IC7300. It covers every feature, but it barely covers every feature. It's got a couple things about how to use it, but one thing it does not do is tell you why it's there. So there's another book. There's this book available, The Radio Today Guide to the ICOM 7300, written by ZL, which would be New Zealand. And it's just gives you a little more of a how-to approach. And you'll find books like that all over everywhere. And yes, YouTube is a good resource for finding things like that. Felix Catus says, greetings from Lima, Peru. Thanks for your wisdom. Well, thank you. Happy to. Jeff Harris, Dave, would a 6-meter dipole mounted vertical or a 6-meter J-pole work better? Well, you know, really when you dig down under the covers, it's the same thing. A 6-meter J-pole, you just scale up the 2-meter J-pole. It'll be big, like 3 times as big. But it is a vertical dipole that's end fed. If you have just a standard dipole, you can feed it in the center and pull the coax straight out away from it for half a wavelength or more, and then drop it wherever you want it. And you're fine with that. You can also do coaxial dipoles. There are lots of different things that you can build. I would recommend for maximum distance on 6 meters that it be a vertical, but you can put it up any way that you like. Play around with it. Kevin Lehigh, finally got my SDR Play radio back online today after I had my office remodeled. I'm itching to get my Lab 599 operating again soon. Good. Tracy Moon loves her RSB DX, which is this one right here. Okay, so thinking about changing my call sign. Do you think a shorter call sign cuts through pileups easier? Yes. Any advantages of short call signs? Yes, they're cool. My call sign is actually left over from when I was advanced. I opted not to change it when I got my extra. I could have and gotten an extra class call sign, and I have opted not to get a vanity call sign because everybody knows me as KE0OG. So, you know, I'm published under that name or under that call sign and have a YouTube channel and all that sort of stuff, so I won't change mine. Okay. Love the value you give to the community. How can I learn to design my own antennas without going to college? Go to the ARR. Here, I'll show you. We've got just a minute left. We're going to go to arrl.org, and we're going to go to the store. Okay. And in the store, we're going to go through topics, antennas. Okay. And they have book after book after book after book about antennas. Okay. They have 15 different books on antennas. So you can go for the antenna book, which is the big, fat, theoretical one, or you can go to, you know, a simple book, you know, simple wire antennas and so on and so forth. There's far more than just the dipole that you can put up there. Okay, and did you see that SDR Play has new software that will be out soon? They are always updating their software. So keep track of that there. I just updated myself. Okay, we are out of time. One last one before I hit the key. It's 10:15 here. Yeah, it's 8:15 here. And so thank you all so much for participating, for contributing to the chat revenue, for entering the drawing. If you tuned in late, you didn't see this massive pile of entries for the SDR Play radio. This has been a real popular one. I have the RSP2 also, which I may put on giveaway, I don't know, maybe next year or something. So lots of things on there. Thank you all so much. I just love you guys. I love the way we interact in this particular format that we have right here. It looks to me like we had a very solid connection during the entire thing with no interruptions, which is very nice. And so if you are not subscribed to my channel, please do so. And please click like and all that sort of thing. I'm kind of pushing Patreon these days. If you go to patreon.com/KE0OG, you'll come to my Patreon page. Basically, I mean, it's got some tiers, but you can set it up for whatever you want. I've got 208 patrons right now, and I'm going to start featuring patrons in the videos. So, until we next meet, 73.